Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you're new, you're really welcome. I'm Jane and my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, debt and mortgage free and living a thrifty, frugal and money saving life on a super tight budget here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Wednesday we invite you in for a midweek money chat. Let's take a look at what we're going to have a chat about this week. This week's topic is all about our budget, our no spend July budget. And you might be thinking, what do I mean by a no spend? We only spend money in July on the things that are on our budget. So no discretionary spending, no nipping off to a charity shop or recycling centre for any little bits and pieces, not buying any plants, nothing like that. So it's a no spend month. We're going to go through our budget with you, and it is our real budget. Every single cent, what we do with it, what we spend it on, what we save, what we need to save for, our sinking funds, our long-term savings, all of it. We're going to go through all of it. We really hope that you find the video useful or helpful. If there's anything I've missed off, there might be something I haven't told you, I've just not put into this video, I might have missed off. Feel free to leave a question about what you've seen in the video today, but enjoy the video. So before I start talking about the money coming in, the money going out and our living costs and all of those things, I'm going to be absolutely upfront with you and share with you the bills that we do not have. The beginning of every video we say we are debt and mortgage free and we live on a super tight budget. We have no mortgage, we live mortgage free, the house is paid off, we have no rent, we have no gas, we have no central heating, no central air, so we have no gas or oil to buy. We currently are burning the wood off our own land. When that wood is gone, we were going to have to buy wood and that will cost us €1,000 a year. But currently we have no costs at all for heating. Car was paid for cash. We have no card payments. We have no credit cards. We do not own any credit cards at all. We don't want any credit cards. We haven't used a credit card without any consequence to ourselves, with no worries of not having a credit card since 2009. And we have absolutely no debt. So that's the starting point. Those are all the things we do not pay for. We do not pay a mortgage, rent, for any heating, for the car, for credit cards or any debts. The next thing that I always like to share in these videos is where our income is in relation to other people in France. And first of all, you need to know that our income is variable. It's plus or minus about €300 a month. On average, that's after social security and tax and business tax, it works out on average per month 2,640, which works out each 1,320 per person per month. And that is slightly below minimum wage. If we were on minimum wage after all taxes and deductions and everything taken off our wages, we would be left with 1,383 per person per month. So we live off slightly less than minimum wage, but don't forget, as I said, we don't have any rent to pay, we don't have any car payments, and there's plenty of people out there on that minimum wage trying to keep a roof over their heads. So where are we in the big picture? As retirees, our income is all right. As in comparison to everybody in France with an income coming in, it's at the lower end. It is at the lower end, and we're okay with that. We're happy with that. We're frugal people. We make it work. Next, Let's talk bank accounts, because when you look at people who are budgeting and they'll tell you that they've got emergency funds and they've got long-term savings, you may be asking the question, how many bank accounts have you got? What do you put in each bank account? And as you can see here, we have 4 bank accounts. One bank account, which accrues interest, which is a savings account, is where we keep our long-term savings, our 12 months fully funded emergency fund. And an emergency fund would cover all of our living expenses, all of our costs for 12 months. On top, in that account as well, goes our long-term savings for our car. And you'll learn about that more in the video. So that is an account that we can get the money out of if we need it, but it accrues interest. Our sinking funds is in an everyday account number 2. So it's like having 2 current accounts or 2 checking accounts. And one of those is for our sinking funds. It doesn't accrue interest because the money doesn't sit there long enough. We'll talk about the sinking funds later on in the video. We then have a current account. All of our living expenses are in there. So if you imagine that we have a living expenses of X amount of money, we then keep more money than that in the account, which is a float for that amount of money. And finally, we have a savings account number 2, which is a higher rate of interest. So when we've got our long-term savings each year and we've got a nominal amount of money, when we think to ourselves, we're not going to use it for this year, we're not going to use that amount of long-term savings for next year, we will move that at the end of the year into a higher rate savings account. So there we go, we have 4 bank accounts, and we'll tell you how much that has cost for all those 4 bank accounts later on in this video. Another question I was always fascinated by when I was watching people budgeting in my early days of becoming somebody who lives off a budget is, when do they do it? How do they do it? When, and so on. So let's answer more of your questions. We write our budget at the end of week 3. And week 4 for us is a complete no-spend week. We don't buy any food, nothing. We might, if we were absolutely pushed, buy something like a loaf of bread in that week, but normally we're pretty organised. The last week of the month, if we don't have anything fresh left, we've always got frozen vegetables, we've always got things in tins, the freezer, the pantry. We've always got enough food in our house to see us through, at least for the next month, at any time. So, what do we do at the end of week 3? We write the budget for the next month. At the beginning of week 1, I move the money. So day 1, I move that money to the correct account. So all the money goes into all the directions in that week. So week 3 is when I write the budget. We go through it together. And we don't literally share the pen and move the pen together. We do budget together, but I write the budget. And week 4 is a no-spend week. And in that no-spend week, each month, it means I can consolidate absolutely everything. Nothing's going to move in or out of our accounts for a week. And I can really make sure that I just justify everything that we've spent, everything that it's gone, and just make sure it's all neat and tidy. So when we go into week 1 of the next month, everything is organised. Another question that we've been asked in the past, so I thought as I'm going to go into so many details today, I'll share this with you, how we track what we spend. So we have our sinking funds, and I will go into those later in the video. And if we buy anything, for example, whether we buy it online or physically in a shop, we have a receipt for that. And that is written into our accounts book. We have an accounts book for our sinking funds. Each sinking fund has its own page and its own running totals of money in, money out, and the running total. And it's in an accounts book. If you literally go into a stationer, or if you go to Amazon and you put in the search bar an accounts book and an accounting ledger or something like that, that's what we use to track our sinking funds. So we have the money in, the money out, and then we carry over the balance each month. So at the beginning, so as I've said, in week 4, I know exactly how much is left in each and every sinking fund. And on week 1, day 1, when I add in the new totals, I carry over that balance. So that is how we track our sinking funds. Now let's have a look at how we track our actual everyday bit of day-to-day spending. And the only time that we go out of this house and spend money on something that is organised, budget or planned for is for the supermarket or discretionary. So the supermarket is everything that we eat, that we drink, a bottle of milk, a piece of bread, everything. It's all the food, all the drink, all the tea, all the coffee. It's all the cleaning supplies, it's all the toiletries, it's all of the laundry products, toilet paper, everything. We have €400 a month. And every single time I go somewhere, I bring back the receipt. I keep the receipt in my purse, and here in France, they ask you if you want the receipt, and every time I keep the receipt. I say, yes please, I'll have the receipt. And I put that in my purse, my money wallet, and when I bring it home on that day that I have my shopping, I put my shopping away. The second thing I do is I take the receipts out of my wallet and I write those receipts in my budget book. My budget book is my day-to-day book of everything that's going in and out that month. I do exactly the same with discretionary. So each month, Mike and I take €50 each as discretionary spending. It's kind of like a bit of pocket money if we want to buy anything extra ourselves. We want to meet up with a friend and have a coffee. That's what we pay for that with. It's not often, but if I want to go to a charity shop and pick up some fabric, that is from my discretionary spending. So all I do with that is we take out €100, we give each other the €50 each month, and that amount is written in our budget book. Some months we have more than €100 of discretionary spending. Say for example we had €250 of discretionary spending. Now it doesn't mean that that extra 150 is definitely going to be spent. We have to spend it. No, we do not. And at the end of the month, if we haven't spent that amount of discretionary spending, it stays in our current account as float, as spare money that we might need next month. So that is how we track our supermarket spending and our discretionary spending. Here's a bit you've been waiting for. Let's get into the actual July budget, how much money we've got, how much money we're going to live off. So as I've already said to you, that we have a variable income. This amount here that you see, it can be plus or minus €300. And this at the moment is the minus number. This is a low amount of money. So when we talk about income, we talk about my pension, Mike's pension, and the money that we earn from YouTube. That is what I mean by income. And this amount of money we get in 3 payments. So we get paid on the 15th, we get paid on the 22nd, and we get paid on the last day of each month. But that money comes into the account and it's held in that account. And don't forget, like I said to you, we have got like a slush fund. We've got an extra amount of money that we hold in our current account. Because we've been budgeting and saving for years on end, we've reached that point. So we hold that money then, and we do not spend the money until the next month comes. So the money we got was earned in May, so it's the payment for May that we are paid in arrears on 3 separate payments. That all comes into our main current account. and I don't move it to the various accounts until the 1st of July. And the amount that we've got, all the money coming in for July, and this is after Social Security charges, but before income tax and before business tax, is €2,540. That's the total amount for July. And that's a low income month. And it happens when you have a variable income, you have good months and you have bad months. There are so many different types and ways to budget, to run a budget. And you just have to choose the one that you prefer. The one that we prefer is simply called a zero balance budget. And that means at the beginning of the month, we know where every single euro of that €2,500 is going to go. Every single expense, every single euro is planned. It's basically called every euro, every pound, every dollar has a job to do. And that's the method of budgeting that we prefer and we use. When we start with our budget, we always pay ourselves first and live off the rest. That's the way we do it. So let's start taking this amount of money away to get ourselves to the zero at the end of it. We start off with €2,540, and the first thing that we do is we treat our 10% savings as a bill. It's not our money. That money needs to go away into the future, and that's 10%, so that's €254 is going to go away into our long-term savings. Then we've got our long-term savings for our car, and our plan was to put aside €5,000 in 3 years or 36 months is €140. We may not buy a new car at the end of the 3-year time scale, but we do not want the car to deteriorate in value, so it's not worth so much to trade it in. So we may not buy a new to us car for cash, trading in the old car in a 3-year period. And then we have sinking funds. Keep watching the video to find out what that is and what they are and where they go, is €1,010. So if you have 2,540, you take away the long-term savings, you take away the long-term savings for the car, and you take away the sinking funds, you're left with a subtotal of €1,404. You could be here for the very first time, and you may be hearing me talking about a sinking fund for the very first time. So what is a sinking fund? It's basically a savings fund that fills up and empties and fills up again. I'll talk about those in depth, so just be patient and I'll explain this to you. And each year these figures are adjusted. So we take an annual amount that we need to save up, we divide that by 12 and we save that monthly. So let's have a look at our sinking funds. The next are our sinking funds. These are all the things that we could say was a monthly bill or a monthly amount of money. But the way we do it is we save it first and then we spend it. We never have a situation where we are just dripping money out each month. We always save first and spend afterwards. So here's our sinking funds. I'm going to whiz through these really quite quickly. And with all of these, I'm going to say first of all what we do is we overestimate. We are always pessimistic that it could cost more than that. So we save more than we need, leaving ourselves short each month, but then we've always got the money saved when we need it. So you can see next to each item, for example, clothing, gifts, trips, holidays, you can see there the amount of money we allocate for the entire year, and then we divide that by 12. So for clothing, 600 a year, we save 50 a month. Gifts, birthdays, gifts, all those things. And we only give to family members, and we always, as a family, we just give token gifts. That's our culture and tradition as a family. And that's £50 a month. We've got trips, holidays, it's £1,600 a year. We go to the UK once a year. Our ferry is €600, our Airbnb is €600, and then spending money when we get there is €400. So there you can see that's £140 a month. Our water bill comes in twice a year. It's approximately £150 each time, or a little less, is £30 a month. Income tax, that was about a little bit less than that last year. Our income's looking about the same. It's about €850 a year, £70 a month. Our property tax, we've estimated €850. We've just had the bill. We know that that's €671. So that just goes to show it's always good to overestimate. And that leaves a bit more money in the sinking funds. That's another £70 a month. Our refuse tax, that is for the use of the déchetterie, the recycling facilities, and our rubbish removal, is €240 a year. That's a big overestimation because last year it was about €180, but it goes up every single year. The next one is we've got 2 dogs and we have to have a budget for them. We've got if they need the vet. They haven't needed the vet this year. We're in July, they haven't needed the vet. The groomer, I swear sometimes their hair grows slowly, sometimes it grows fast, and I have them professionally groomed. It's my choice. Whenever you see anything on here, always remember, personal finance is it's the personal choice of the person who does this. So my dogs, that's £1,080 a year, we save £90 a month. The next is sort of DIY garden, and that's for the work that we're doing around the house. If we do any DIY in the house, if we buy any paint, if we buy anything for the garden, we have any work done, and things that we're saving up for. We're rebuilding a barn. We've set aside £3,600 a year for that, which is £300 a month. Sorry about that, a bit fumbly there. The next one, plants. We're still buying plants for our garden. We've allowed €360 for that. That's £30 a month. And for our car, our maintenance and service and any tyres, we've put aside £1,000 for that. As it is this year, the car service has cost us about €175. So you can see there we've got a massive amount spare in that account. And at the end of this year, when there's anything spare in the sinking funds, that in itself acts as spare money afloat in the whole account altogether. The next thing is CFE, which is a business tax. As YouTubers who work at home, it is classed as a business and we pay a business tax on that, on top of our income tax and on top of our social charges. And if you're interested in our social charges, they are 23% of gross. So anything that we get from YouTube, 23% of gross goes to social charges, social security payments. And social security payments pay for healthcare, they pay for your pension when you've retired, and they pay for any benefit. So if we couldn't work, I don't know, for whatever reason we couldn't work, we would be able to claim up to 80% of our income for up to 14 months as social security payments. So that amounts to €1,010 that we save each month for these, because all of these are a cost that can occur or will occur within the year. The next are our living costs. What does it actually cost us to survive? What does it actually cost us to live? So we have first of all our supermarket costs, and I've put to €404, so it just basically rounds up the whole sum total at the end. €404, as I've already said, that's all our food, all our drink, that's coffee, tea, milk, all the food, that's the cleaning products, absolutely everything. And that includes things like with beauty products as well. If I want some moisturiser for my face, if I need some suntan lotion, anything like that, that's a toiletry of some kind, that comes out of that €404. The next is our car fuel of €80 a month. We don't always use that every single month. What we always do with the car each month is we take it to the garage each month and we fill the tank up. It's somewhere between 80 and 50 a month. And then we have garden fuel. We have lawn mowers, we have strimmers, brush whackers, weed whackers, I think you call them. And for that we are spending €50 a month. Then we have our dog food, which is 70 a month. And then we have an anomaly here that doesn't make sense to anybody who doesn't live in France. Every now and then, your social security payments will adjust themselves. So our pensions, our UK pensions, are government pensions, and they can only be taxed in the UK. But because they come under the UK tax threshold, we are not taxed on them in the UK. So what France do with those is they add on a social charge. We call it cotisations, social security charge here of €77 a month. Please don't expect me to explain it in any more detail, because if anyone will tell you anything that will bamboozle you, it'll be taxes. They just bamboozle everybody, don't they? The next thing that we've got here is health insurance. That price has gone up. We're now paying €110 a month. When it comes to health insurance, it covers almost absolutely everything. If we went into hospital, we wouldn't come out with a bill. There's very, very little that you have to pay in advance. So when you go to the doctors, for example, it's €25, you get €17.50 back each time. So you've got a little bit of money. So when we pay for our healthcare, it's a few quid, it's a few euros. It's not like the hundreds and thousands that you pay in some countries. Then we have our car insurance at 53, and this comes up every time I share a budget video. They cannot charge you any more if you pay monthly than the total amount. So it's not cheaper to pay it all in one go. It's the same amount. The next one is our bank charges. We have 4 bank accounts. They charge us €12 a month for that. That's what it costs. And then I've got phones. I've got a mobile phone. Mike has got a mobile phone. We just pay for the calls, charges and internet on our mobile phones, and that's €35 a month for the 2 of us. We're not paying for the phones, we own the phones. And then we have TV, internet and phone for the house. We have 2 internet suppliers. We have Sosh and we have Bouygues, because we work online. We need the internet to work, and sometimes one will work better than the others, and that's €48 a month. And the next one is our electricity bill. Our electricity heats our water, runs the washing machine, the dishwasher and the electric cooker. And so dishwasher, washing machine, electric cooker and hot water of €130 a month. And that's gone up substantially. That was previously about €109. And then we've got our monthly bill of hair and beauty. I get my eyebrows done every month. Why do I not do it myself? Because if I take my glasses off, I can't see my eyebrows. And in this month, we've had to factor in that Mike needs a haircut this month. So that takes it up to €45 a month. And then you can see our living expenses for the month of July total €1,136. So here we are, the final scores on the doors, the final numbers. We've got €2,540 take away the long-term savings of 254, taking away 140 for the car, taking away the sinking funds of 1010, and taking away the living costs of 1136 is 0. July is going to be a no spend month for us. This is a bare bones budget month for us. This means in July there isn't any money for going out for a coffee. There is no money for buying anything at a charity shop. Nothing will be bought online. Nothing will be spent in July other than the amounts that you can see on our budget this month. Even though we've got things like clothing budgeted, July is a no spend month. We won't spend anything at all. It's okay. It's a good thing to do for us. We have 3 no spend months a year, as I said to you earlier in the video, and we're quite cool with it. But there you see how we reach our 0 balance. At the beginning of the month, every single euro has been given a job to do, and at the beginning of the month, we know where we are going to spend every single cent. We really hope that our budgeting videos are of a help to you. And we want to say thank you to everyone who leaves such encouraging comments, not only here on the channel, but on our Facebook page as well, saying that you're better off now because you're living on a budget, that you're more organised with your money now, that you've organised your sinking funds, and you're putting a bit of money away into your long-term savings. I know some of you leave comments like, I only save this amount, or I only save that amount. I just want to encourage you to keep going, because saving anything is really, really helpful. Having a sinking fund, so you've got money for your car tyres, or for your car to be serviced, or for that next car, is just going to keep you away from ever having to go into debt ever again. So thank you so much to everybody who's watched today. Thank you to everyone who likes the video, and we ask you one thing, and that is to hit the like button. It really does help the channel grow. And we will see you again soon. Bye for now.